afternoon, everybody here at Sea Lion Bay. My name is Arthur. I'm just at the very top here by the little red hut, and I'll be talking about our Californian sea lions for a little bit while we do an impromptu training session. So you will see a few different behaviours during this, and I'll just be talking about them a bit more generally. If you have any big questions, throw your hand up and give us a shout, and we can incorporate that into the chat as well. So here we have two of our Californian sea lions. They are Carla and Ariel. So I believe Carla is closest to me and Ariel is just further up. I might get a shake head or yep, that room. So they are two half sisters. These came to Chessington about 14 years ago now. And they are half sisters born at the Odense Zoo in Denmark. Now they came here when they were just 1 year old, so they've been here for quite a long time. Looks like we've got a little Leo just next to them as well. So we have a family of 4 here at Chessington. 2 half sisters here, and we have a new male that came in just February 2022, and he is February 2023, I believe. He's a 5-year-old male called Hugo. And we also have little baby Leo, who's now 10 months old, and his parents are Carla, one of these 2 lovely sisters here, and Hugo, the new dad. So they've kind of started off their new family group. What you're seeing at the moment is one of the training behaviours that we're giving these guys is actually something these will do in the wild, and it's called porpoising. So it's something they do to get out of the water to make a big splash and avoid and confuse their predators. So Californian sea lions in particular will get mixed up with one other species out there. I do wonder if any of you guys could guess for me what species they get mixed up for. Begins with an S as well. Give me a shout, anyone who thinks they know. Yeah, shout it out. I can see your hands, but I'm over here by the redhead tent on this side. Right over here. Yes, seals. Excellent. They get mixed up with seals all the time, but there are a few really good key differences we can tell who's who. One of them you'll see at the moment as they pop over to there to await their lovely reward for doing the right behaviours. You can see these tiny little ears sticking out the side of their heads. So Californian sea lions and all sea lions are eared seals. So in a sense, so they have little tiny pointy ears. We sometimes say look a bit like Shrek's ears. And if you see a little head bobbing out, that means you've got a sea lion if you see a little ear. If there are no ears, no external ears, and their ears are internal, like a little hole at the side of their head, that will be a seal. So first key difference between seals and sea lions is sea lions, like our ones here, have outwards ears. Seals have little inwards ears. And another main difference between them, even though they are parts of the same family of animals called fin-footed animals, these guys do have much longer flippers. So you can see right now they're kind of showing off their best shark impersonation. So you can see they've got nice big long flippers, really strong. They use those to propel themselves forward in the water, whereas seals don't use their big front flippers like that because seals have much shorter front flippers. So if you stick your arms out, we can get a big wave from them now showing how much they can use them. So holding your arm out fully, that's about the length of a sea lion's flipper. But a hand at the end of your arm, that's the size of a seal's flipper, much smaller. And so seals, when they're going around in the water, they use their back flippers to kind of push them around side to side, a bit more like a fish, the way that they're moving around, compared to the sea lions here. Big waves there, lovely. So in some ways very different animals, seals and sea lions, but they have a lot of things in common as well. One of them is their predators. So again, this porpoising that they're doing is a great way to get away from things in the sea. Can anyone guess what kind of predators they've got in the sea out there? Something really scary with big sharp teeth. Yeah. Sharks, was that? Yeah. Did you have another one? Sharks as well. Yeah. Sharks are their main one, certainly, for both seals and sea lions. Another one they have is killer whales, or orcas. Sometimes we hear them. Now those are a little bit more tricky to deal with. So for the shark, it's great. They can just swim in and out of the water, make a big splash, confuse them, and try to get away as best they can. But with these big flippers, they can actually come onto land as well. So you might have seen them sliding around on the beach here, or coming in and out to their backwards house behind there. And you'll see that they're really quick on land as well as sea, whereas a seal, they're not very good on land. Their small flippers mean they're only a great example of how they escape their predators. So again, through those really powerful front flippers, they can actually lift their entire body out of the water like that. Very common for them to do in the wild again to escape predators. They will be in big groups as well. So we have a sort of family group of 4 individuals here, and they can be in sort of groups like that in the wild, but they will have larger groups on occasion too, up to around 15 or 20 individuals they can have out there. Now imagine 20 of these guys coming in and out of the water and splashing around. That makes a right big confusion to throw off any predators. And again, for killer whales, so they have a little bit more of a clever way about getting their prey. So they will actually beach. So they'll sort of do what we call beaching, where they kind of bring and slide their body onto land to try to grab a prey that has escaped them in the water. So a shark isn't going to do that. It will cause the shark more trouble than it's worth. Whereas the sea lions, the killer whales, will try to do that to grab a seal or a sea lion. And our sea lions are really good at getting away from those, so they'll go right up the beach and get away from a killer whale even. So very strong animals too. Now they're very intelligent animals as well, so one of the reasons we do our little training sessions here is actually to give them a little bit of mental stimulation as well as the physical stimulation it does. So you can see with all those behaviours, like as we're jumping fully out of the water and again with the porpoising and lots of different behaviours we see from them, that really uses a lot of muscle. It gets them well exercised for the day, and that feels really good for them, that good exercise. But so does the mental stimulation. So doing something, interacting with us as our keepers, it gives them a nice bond and a nice relationship with us, but also really gets them going. They are very, very intelligent social animals, so they do like getting something back as well from what they're doing. So our training sessions teach them a few different things. It feels very good for them to get a reward, so we use something called positive reinforcement, and that is exactly what it sounds like. They get a nice thing to reinforce the behaviour we want to see from them. So you may have seen some lovely tasty fish going out there earlier. That is certainly their favourite snack. There are actually up to 32 different species out there in the wild. Their favourites here will include smelt, sprat, herring, sardines, and occasionally some squid as well. It's a very, very tasty diet. They're not very fussy. They'll have whatever they can get. Even little Leo there waiting. And here comes Hugo. So Hugo is our adult male, so that's Leo's dad, Leo being the little one at just 10 months. So he's kind of made the family group. He's now the boss of the group, so he's kind of taken over as well, and the group now revolves around him. And little Leo just on the left, on my left here, on your right. So he started his training as well. So one of the first things we start to train when they're brand new, and when they're sort of starting on fish at around sort of 6 to 8 months old, they will start. Oh, I see you've got a question there. Go on then, shout it out for me. How tall are they? It depends how you say it, I suppose. So they're about 2 foot in height. They can, when they're sort of flat out. But are you going to come and say hi? Are you going to show off? Can you show us how tall you are? Hey, Ariel. If they stood on their back flippers, they could be up to 4 or 5 foot tall, and they can occasionally hold themselves fully upright. They're better at doing it with their front flippers, lifting them up. But they're quite big if you saw them up close. So they really love their fish. So Leo is already training for his husbandry health checks, and that's basically us giving them an easy way to check their body, make sure their body's clear of any lumps, bumps, scratches, so we can get them to lay down in front of us. We can also give them things like eye drops, ear drops if we need to. That basically means we get nice and close to them, and we can give them a check so that if a vet ever happens to come down here, then that means that they'll already be very used to it, and they enjoy that experience too. Okay, I think these guys are still going to swim around here for a little bit. I'll be around for another 5 minutes or so. If you have any questions, do shout them out or come over to me up here, and I'll be happy to answer those. Otherwise, hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day here at Chessington. Do enjoy. I believe the next talk will be the tiger talk a little bit later on at past. Do enjoy.